chapter 11 of the book of Romans is basically God is with Israel, okay? We are grafted into that vine of Israel. But it's all about God's work in Israel and his people, and then opening the door for the Gentiles. He talks about how the Gentiles will be brought in, grafted into the branch of Israel. And I want to just skip down to verse 29 of chapter 12. The gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Irrevocable. We cannot give back our gifts. All we can do is use them. Or sit on them for a while. Whatever. But if he's given you the gift and talent to do something because he wants you to do it, do it. And we don't understand his timing. We certainly are going to go through years of wilderness wandering, not understanding quite what's going on. But he has a plan for us all. Chapter 12. Overcome evil with good. Do not be conformed to this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Let God change the way you think. Since we have gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, exercise them accordingly. If service, serve. If teaching, teach. If exhorting, exhort. Right? He who gives with liberty, who leads with diligence, who shows mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be without hypocrisy. Right? Without a mask. Without selfishness. Without two-facedness. Without a false motive. Abhor what is evil and cling to what is good. Don't be in fake relationships. That's a problem with social media is you have so many friends on your friends list. How many of them are really your friends, right? But there is an important thing to note that true friendship is people that pursue each other. You know? It's getting into their lives, asking them questions, wanting to know what's going on with them. Loving people. And overcoming the world, overcoming evil with good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor, which is valuing something. Delighting in each other. Delighting in one another. Delighting in your friends. Delighting in your family. Delighting in your spouse. And we'll talk about marriage a little bit later, but delighting in the one that God gave you and your friends that God gave you. Someone said once that to have even 5 best friends in a lifetime is more than you could ask for. Hold on to the ones you have for a lifetime. And I know the ones I have so far. I'm still young, so I'm hoping that I'll get some more. But you know what I mean. That the friendships that we develop that are the ones that we want to have for a lifetime are the ones that of those who have devoted themselves to valuing us, and we value them. Blessed is those bless those who persecute you. Ooh. Bless those who curse you. I don't like that. But we have to do it because he tells us to. And because it's good for us to do it. Because not forgiving is basically just like drinking our own poison and waiting for the other person to die. Sitting in a rocking chair, worrying about somebody is only going to wear yourself out. You know, you're not doing any good by not forgiving. But forgiveness is hard. Especially if you don't know who you're forgiving. If you're just forgiving people for being slanderous and just cruel or gossiping, those kinds of things, it's hard. Forgiving and moving on. Pushing forward to what is ahead. Because all that stuff is going to pass away. God has something new for you ahead of you. So focus on that. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Then, chapter 13 is all about authority, being subject to Christ. And he has a lot to say about masters and authority and service, because in that time period there were a lot of slaves in Rome. It was said that there were so many slaves that if the slaves had all united, they could have overthrown Rome real quick. But they didn't. And we say, oh, there's no slavery now. Well, there is slavery today in parts of the world, and it's horrible. There's definitely trafficking going on now. And it's horrible. It's horrifying that people just think that it's not even happening is even worse. But everyone that is working has a boss and is employed or is their own boss, and it's even worse then because you have to basically take care of yourself, like a master-employee relationship within. But it says be subject to authority, obey authority, and this is saying be subject to Christ and his authority in your life. Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. Chapter 14, only the master can judge, accept all differences. This is a big one. See, accept the one who is weak in faith without passing judgment on his opinions. One person may have faith to eat certain things when another one is weak. Who are we to judge the servant of another? To his own master he stands or falls, and he will stand. The Lord is able to make him stand. Don't judge the intentions of another person. You can judge their actions, what you see, but not their intentions, unless you truly know who they are and what's going on, the situation and circumstance. We have no idea. We get into these places where we see people do things or hear something, and we assume, and that's dangerous. But basically saying, don't judge. Let the Holy Spirit be the discerning one. Talk to him. Don't talk to everybody else. Talk to him about what you're seeing and hearing. Chapter 15. Paul, minister of the gospel. For even Christ did not please himself, for it is written, the reproaches of those who reproach fell on me. Whatever was written in earlier times, right? The whole Old Testament. Why I spent the entire first 10 months of this year reading through the Old Testament with you is because all things written in an earlier time were for our instruction, so that through perseverance, right, getting through the Old Testament, right, perseverance and encouragement of the scriptures, we might have hope. It's like he knows it's a lot of work to get through all the things that God has taught us in the Old Testament, but those things are so that we might have hope, and then we'll understand the New Testament and understand Christ. Talks about this. I have written boldly to you on some points, but to remind you because of the grace that has been given to me from God. Remember, there's two camps. There's the people that believe that you're saved by grace, but you still need to do good deeds to keep that salvation, right? And then there's the people that said, oh, we can get saved by grace and then sin however we want to. No. And then he gives his personal testimony a little bit there, talking about wanting to go to Spain. He possibly went to Spain. I'm not really sure when. Chapter 16 is a whole list of greetings Paul gives to the church, which is pretty typical, standard way of writing letters back then. He greets a bunch of the people in the church, and then he says, I urge you, brethren, keep your eye on those things. Keep your eye on those who cause dissension and hindrances, contrary to the teaching which you have learned. Turn away from them. And he talks about Timothy, my fellow worker, greets you as well. And Lucius and Jace, Sophistiper, my kinsman, he worked with others to do his calling. And it talks about the person who wrote the letter down for him and penned it. I mean, he wrote it, but someone else penned it. Possibly because he was old at that time. His eyesight was going on, I'm not really sure. But basically, he worked with others to do the calling that God called him to do. You work with others, collaborate with others. One of the best things that we have in our teaching program of a school is the ability to basically create a community of all of these students that we're all going to be teachers. We're all studying to become teachers. So we have a community, we've got a Facebook group, and we have the ability to communicate back and forth and share ideas and lesson plans and things and support each other, encourage each other to keep going. Same thing with anything that we do in life. We need to have people around us that will help lead us, help lift us up, and help encourage us to keep going forward. The gospel of Jesus sets us free from the penalty and power and someday the presence of sin. That's the book of Romans. That the gospel sets us free from penalty of sin, the power of sin, and someday the presence of sin. Hope you enjoyed that brief description of the book of Romans. Have a good day, my friends. We'll get into Corinthians next.